Welcome to InfoJoy Journeys, where we explore the transformative power of literature. I'm Joey, your guide to insights, lessons, and wisdom from the world of books. Whether you're seeking practical advice or a moment of escape, join us on this adventure of discovery. Let's embark on a journey together, where reading is a pathway to a richer, more fulfilling life. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to my video series on Good to Great by Jim Collins. In this series, I will summarize and explain the main concepts and insights from this popular business book. If you want to learn how to transform your company or organization from good to great, or just want to get some inspiration and ideas, then this series is for you. In this first video, I will introduce the book and its main premise, as well as the first two principles, Level 5 Leadership and First Who, Then What. Let's get started. Good to Great is the result of a 5-year research project that Collins and his team conducted to answer the question, can a good company become a great company and, if so, how? They analyzed the performance, strategies, and leadership of 28 companies over 30 years, and identified 11 companies that made the leap from average or below average to outstanding. These are the good to great companies. They also selected 11 direct comparison companies that did not make the leap, and 6 unsustained comparison companies that made the leap but could not sustain it. The goal was to find out what distinguished the good to great companies from the rest, and to derive a set of universal principles that any company or organization can apply. The book is organized into 7 chapters, each representing one of the 7 principles that Collins and his team discovered. These principles are: Level 5 Leadership. The highest level of leadership is characterized by humility, professional will, and a focus on the long-term success of the company rather than personal ego. First Who, Then What. The best companies focus on getting the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the right seats, before deciding where to drive the bus. Confront the brutal facts. The best companies embrace the reality of their situation, no matter how harsh or unpleasant, and use it as a basis for making decisions and taking action. The hedgehog concept. The best companies find the intersection of 3 circles, what they are deeply passionate about, what they can be the best in the world at, and what drives their economic engine. A culture of discipline. The best companies combine a culture of discipline with an ethic of entrepreneurship, which means they have a clear vision, a set of values, and a rigorous process of execution. Technology accelerators. The best companies use technology as a catalyst for change, not as a primary driver. They carefully select and adopt technologies that align with their hedgehog concept and enhance their competitive advantage. The flywheel and the doom loop. The best companies build momentum over time by making consistent and disciplined choices that reinforce their vision and strategy. They avoid the doom loop of erratic and reactive changes that undermine their credibility and performance. In this video, we will focus on the first 2 principles, Level 5 Leadership and First Who, Then What. Level 5 Leadership is the most important and surprising finding of the research. Collins and his team found that every good to great company was led by a very specific type of leader, which they called Level 5 leaders. These leaders are not the typical charismatic, visionary, or heroic figures that we often associate with great leadership. Instead, they are humble, modest, and self-effacing. They do not seek fame, fortune, or personal glory. They are more like plow horses than show horses. They are driven by a deep sense of purpose and responsibility for the success of their company, not by their own ego or ambition. They are willing to do whatever it takes to make their company great, even if it means giving up the spotlight, sharing the credit, or taking the blame. They are not afraid to confront the brutal facts, challenge the status quo, or make unpopular decisions. They are relentless in pursuing their goals, but they never lose sight of their values or their people. Collins and his team contrasted the Level 5 leaders with the leaders of the comparison companies, who they called Level 4 leaders. These leaders are more conventional and common. They are competent, capable, and effective, but they lack the humility and the will of the Level 5 leaders. They are more concerned with their own reputation, status, and power than with the long-term success of their company. They are more likely to attribute their success to their own genius, and their failure to external factors. They are more prone to complacency, arrogance, or denial. They are more interested in being the star of the show, rather than building a great team. Collins and his team gave several examples of the differences between Level 5 leaders and Level 4 leaders, such as Darwin Smith, the CEO of Kimberly-Clark, who transformed the company from a mediocre paper company to a global consumer products giant, by selling off the core business of paper mills and investing in new markets like Kleenex and Huggies. He was described as mild-mannered, quiet, soft-spoken, even shy, and one of the most self-effacing and understated executives you will ever meet. He once said, "I never stopped trying to become qualified for the job." Dick Cooley, the CEO of Wells Fargo, who led the company through a fierce competition with Bank of America, by focusing on the core business of banking and avoiding risky diversifications. He was known as a modest man who carried his own bags and answered his own phone. He once said, "The key is to get the right people, the right chemistry, and the right culture." Jim Collins, the author of the book, who admitted that he was not a Level 5 leader himself, and that he struggled with his own ego and ambition. He said, "I want to be great." Level 5 leaders want their companies to be great. The second principle, first who, then what, is closely related to the first one. Collins and his team found that the good to great companies did not start with a clear vision, strategy, or direction. Instead, they started with getting the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the right seats. They believed that if they had the right people, they could figure out where to go and how to get there. They also believed that if they had the wrong people, it did not matter how good their vision, strategy, or direction was, because they would not be able to execute it. Collins and his team contrasted the good to great companies with the comparison companies, who often did the opposite. They started with a clear vision, strategy, or direction, and then tried to get the right people to fit into their plans. They often hired or promoted people based on their skills, experience, or credentials, rather than their character, attitude, or potential. They often tolerated or ignored the wrong people, hoping that they would change or improve. They often failed to put the right people in the right seats, or to move them around when needed. Collins and his team gave several examples of the differences between the good to great companies and the comparison companies, such as Nucor, the steel company, who hired people based on their work ethic, attitude, and ability to learn, rather than their education, background, or expertise. They also fired people who did not meet their high standards of performance, quality, and teamwork. They paid their employees based on their productivity, not their seniority or position. They gave their employees a lot of autonomy, responsibility, and feedback. They promoted their leaders from within, rather than hiring outsiders. Circuit City, the electronics retailer, who hired people based on their passion, enthusiasm, and customer service skills, rather than their sales experience or knowledge. They also fired people who did not fit their culture, values, or vision. They trained their employees extensively, and rewarded them based on their contribution, not their commission. They empowered their employees to make decisions, solve problems, and innovate. They developed their leaders from within, rather than hiring outsiders. Bank of America, the comparison company, who hired people based on their credentials, qualifications, and reputation, rather than their fit, potential, or loyalty. They also kept people who did not perform well, or who did not share their vision, hoping that they would improve or adapt. They paid their employees based on their rank, title, or status, not their results or impact. They micromanaged their employees, and gave them little autonomy, responsibility, or feedback. They hired their leaders from outside, rather than promoting from within. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. In the next video, we will cover the third and fourth principles, confront the brutal facts and the hedgehog concept. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching and see you next time.